Thanks for inviting me. And in fact, this is really almost like coming back home. Even though I'm based in the US right now, I'm actually originally came from Europe. So a bit of myself. So I have been moving around, staying and living and working in various continents across the last 2 decades. Uh, so across Houston, Paris, London, Singapore, Beijing, Lagos, Aberdeen. So I'm an MVP. And also one of the Power Apps champ in the world that Microsoft was kind enough to create the baseball card of ourselves, which the executive team of Microsoft is now have a bit of a competition on seeing who has the full collection of autograph cards. So you can follow me in my Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I recently started my YouTube sharing a bit of the way I build apps, which is apparently I didn't realize is different until people tell me that how come the way you build app is so different, it's so simple, and yet it looks so different. So if you like to check out a different way of building apps, very logical way of thinking using a lot of logical flagging, check out my YouTube app, YouTube channel, and a bit of my story in Microsoft blog. There's a blog article on myself. Go to aka.ms, meet Alan. So I'm a head of digital transformation and innovation for Schlumberger. Yeah, I'm based in Houston. But like as you said, Sensei, I have moved around a lot. So just to give a bit of a perspective on what we are doing and what we have achieved over the last few years. So I would say 3 to 4 years, I drove the adoption across the whole organization from nothing, from zero to today. We have about 21,000 apps in a tenant. We have 32,000 flows. These are just some of the numbers I want to showcase just to drive the discussion here to say how can you achieve that kind of a maturity and the kind of adoption level. And for Microsoft Teams apps, as you can see, Teams has been launched Teams apps was launched about end of last year. And just between a few months, we are already crossing the 1,000 mark, right? So definitely the hunger is there, and the organization is catching up on that. And the most mature one is actually our Power BI side of the story, because we started Power BI way before or the rest of the application, because we as a company, we believe data first, right? And on the platform, we have 6,000 plus active makers. These are makers who they are citizen developers spreading across the organization that are actively making solutions, apps, automation, and as well as reports. A quick glance on some of the apps that we have is, again, when I started the journey, I wanted to build apps that are that look and behave like native apps, right? So I refuse to accept the out-the-box look and feel, right? I want it to be the way it should be, so that I can retain my audience, and I can also have my audience coming back for more, right? So it's very important that you have a good user experience story for your audience, for your user, when you embark into making something new and something you want to interact with your user. You want them to feel inclusive. You want them to feel that, hey, there's something here that I need for me, and I want to come back for more, right? So these are just a few examples. I will showcase a couple of cool example at the end of the presentation. So today I'm going to share about 5 tips in enterprise Teams apps adoption. How do you drive Teams app adoption in enterprise in your be it whether you're working for a consulting company or you are working for your own company or a large company, what are the magic formula? What are the magic recipe to bring together the organization to adopt this platform and to adopt the apps, right? So I will be using some of the lesson learned that we have curated over the last 3 to 4 years. And I've been sharing this in the circle quite a lot last few years with the enterprise folks, with all the Microsoft customers on this journey. And we share notes on what works, what doesn't work, and then so that you don't have to repeat the same mistake that some other has gone through, or even we have gone through, right? So the very first one is to define your strategy and vision, right? So this possibly is the one side that you want to take home if you can, you don't have the time to digest the rest, yeah. So this is one story that has been talked about over and over again. What we do is we structure ourselves internally as a company. We structure our digital execution into 5 layers. Yeah. So the very bottom layer is our enterprise teams, whereby we are a house of we put heavy investment in our SAP backend in ERP. So ERP system is very costly, right? So we spent 7 years to build it, and it's expected to last 10 to 15 years. So as an engineering company, we tend to over customize the ERP system, and at the end we suffer because a few years down the road, there's a new version coming from SAP, and we can't upgrade ourselves. So we learned from a previous experience. Our CIO said that let's put a delivery team, product delivery team on top of that fill the gaps, right? So this team built solution, full stack solution, global product that fill the business gap that SAP couldn't deliver to us. And then typically that take about 1 to 2 years to build, and they're expected to last 5 to 7 years. So these are highly complex solution that try to meet the business needs. He recognized that, our CIO recognizes that there's a problem here. This 1 to 2 years, yes, it's great product, but we lack that agility. 2 years to build a product with a big team is not responsive to the customer, right? To the business. So he said, okay, let's bring the agility. So we bring in the ops teams that are focusing on specific towers of technology. So we have mobility, we have a collaboration, we have a BI, analytic. They focus on those technology tower and churn out solution in 3 to 6 months, within 3 to 6 months, a very quick turnaround. And those are solving problems that are temporary while waiting for SAP to fill those gaps, right? So this we brought the agility to the business. And these 3 layers, they are all centralized. They are part of the IT cost, part of the IT accounts, and they are centralized in the hub. So all been said, they're all good. We have agility now. However, we still lack one ingredient, which is the innovation, right? So being centralized, you lack the visibility to the real problems in the field, the real problems, the fire that the people are facing day to day in the operations. So our CIO then decided that, okay, I need to inject the innovation capability by bringing this capability of the DevOps team to the field. So he decentralized the digital capability using the local platform, in this case, Power Platform, and say, throw it out there, get the people upskill in the field. So we have digital teams scattered across the world that have the same capability as the centralized DevOps team, but they are solving problems at the edge of business with the same capability of doing it in a quick turnaround, 3 to 6 months, and solving a short-term problems in the meantime until SAP has arrived, right? So these digital teams are full-time citizen developers funded by the business, sitting in the business, facing the fire every day, right? And so they see the problems, they have the ability to solve the problem right there, right? So now we have agility and we have innovation, right? At the end of the chain, the self-service citizen developer, these are individual citizen developer who learn the Power Platform tool set and then improve their workflow, their daily work productivity workflow in using those tools, right? So now the whole organization is now upskilled with that, right? So with these 5 layers of digital execution, we complete the story of how to put the house in order, yeah, and making sure that you lay the right good foundation. So as you can see here behind the scene is a railway track, right? So basically we are laying the tracks, knowing that we are heading in the right direction together and we are not crossing paths on each other. So this whole framework is super critical to the success of an organization's adoption on local platform. Going for after that, the number 2 tips that I would say after having the house in order, then what you really need to do is start setting up a structure for acceleration. And to do so, you need to have a COE, a Center of Excellence in place. So in this case, we form a COE to do 3 things. First 3 steps is to secure your tenant by applying the right DLP policy in the tenant, ensuring that first of all, your data loss prevention is in place so that when somebody, a citizen developer, wanted to build an app, they would not accidentally, connect to, say, LinkedIn, connect to Twitter, and expose some company secrets, right? So that is super important. Secure your tenant with the DLP policy in place, and then start monitoring your usage, right? Start monitoring through the COE toolkit and knowing who built what and where are these people sitting in your organization. These are your potential key members in the organization that will help ignite the whole adoption of the platform. And then as you build this COE, you evolve your strategy accordingly, right? Based on what the product's roadmap is like, as well as the thirst and the hunger of this technology within the organization. So while doing that, you are also forming the governance for the whole organization in terms of how do you use this platform securely and doing it right for the first time, right? So, and I mentioned about COE toolkit. So this is you can download this COE toolkit today from GitHub. This is actually I was participating. In fact I built this Power BI dashboard for Manuela, and then she took it and opened it up as an open source for the rest of the world. I enhanced the first version to this, so that we can as IT people who are most people in this call are. I wanted to have a dashboard that is executive ready, right? A dashboard that you can take just out from the COE toolkit and show to your stakeholder, to your CIO, to your director, hey, this is where we stand, and this is how the investment has returned the benefit to the company, right? So it gives you the visibility that you need, know what you have, where you have the people, and who does what, who are your advanced user inside your tenant. You can easily identify your top makers, your top builder, top flow maker, and etc. Right? And also it gives you a bit of visibility towards your capacity planning in terms of licensing. If you are doing lots of premium licensing connector, right? So this will be a good tool to start with. So if you have not started or using COE Toolkit, I encourage you to go check it out from GitHub, yeah, and download the latest copy and install it into your tenant. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. The next part of this tip 2 is that if in order to have a good adoption, when you want to scale up, you need to make sure you don't scale up and create a mess inside your tenant, inside your platform. Make sure you have a well-defined playbook, right? So we use this wiki platform to document and tell our citizen developer, I have thousands of them, right? I couldn't do it one by one. So I need to have a reference place where the citizen developers can come in and we tell them and educate them, how do you build app? How do you build your first app safely? How do you grab your data from the corporate information model? How do you grab the data from the data lake? How do you publish them? And what are the conditions you need to do to your apps before they are considered deployed, right? So those are the steps that you want to throw out there quickly. It's like a restaurant, right? You go to a restaurant, the restaurant is able to repeat the same dish over and over again with the same quality of delivery. That is because they have a good recipe, a good playbook to follow, right? I call this a digital playbook. In a restaurant analogy is recipe, right? Recipe to build apps the right way and safely, and do it the safe way. And it allows scaling of Teams app building beyond just champions, which I'm going to talk about after this. So champions. So this is your third tip that I would talk about. In order to drive adoption in enterprise, especially in a large organization, you cannot rely on just 1 or 2%. It's not enough. It's not scalable. You want a lot of champions in your organization that act as a catalyst for you. These are catalysts of change that also your evangelists in your platform. Yeah, they are your trailblazer. They are the one that dare to try out new things. Look at it as your own MVPs, yeah, inside your organization that you nurture and you help them to blossom, right, between their unit, their business unit. How do you find them? Okay, so back to your COE toolkit. Your COE toolkit has a lot of information. So due to data privacy, I had to mask some of this, but actually you can see my name is down there, right? So from the toolkit, you can identify who are your active makers, who are those actually try out the new features in your tenant. Those are the people that you want to go in touch, go check it out, right? Call them out and say, hey, I saw you built this app and it's being used by hundreds and thousands of people. Tell me more about it, right? And then from there, recruit them as your voice, right? So find them through the telemetry, identify those users who use advanced feature, and find your top end makers, right? Top end maker is the easiest way to prioritize your focus and your energy in getting the acceleration to drive the adoption. Form a little inner circle between the organization to take this further, right? And then once you have identified them, you need to empower them, right? So I call this empowerment. So empower them with what do I mean by empower? So premium, right? So what we do is we empower them with premium features. Those who are identified as my champions, they have the privilege to try out premium features, things that I don't open for the rest of the organization. I let the champions to experiment it, try it out before they do POC, POV, proof of concept, proof of value, and then they bring to the business. So in our organization, we have this program, I call it as digital special agents. So all my agents, they have an agent code. So I call it agent 001, 002, and so forth, right? And these are agents that I identify and give them special rights to be the voice of the platform in their own business unit and the business unit, they know them and they know who to go to, because I can't have 100,000 users coming to Ireland because it's just not sustainable. I need that to be distributed. There should be mini islands around, right, in the organization to take this forward, right? So they are the faces of your own internal movement. Empower them to do more. Empower them to go train more champions. Yeah. Building your community. So this is my tips on number 4. In order to scale up in your adoption, you need to have a good internal community. So if you take a look at our the way we do it in Yammer. We form a strong community between our Yammer groups. So we started off by let's set up a Power Apps group. Let's set up a Power BI groups. Let's set up a Teams group, right? These are the place where the community come in. Look at the number of active users that we have, active people, and the number of messages that they read. Yeah, so Power BI is 300,000, and this is almost 100,000 on Teams, right? So in the beginning of the journey, you'll find that it's hard because you don't have the expertise inside the organization, and you rely on a handful of IT folks to answer questions. It become like, man, it's a help desk. No, it's not. It's an investment, right? It's an investment. We started this. The first, I would say, the first 6 months, we rely on a few key SME to sustain and answer questions. But after that, you realize that the community started to help themselves. Okay, they started to gain the knowledge, and they are able to answer questions for each other. So today, I can also tell you that today we are pretty much hands-off. Sometimes when somebody have a question, they send out and say, how do I embed the apps on the Teams? Before an IT person was able to answer, somebody in the business already answered that for us. Yeah, so it becomes self-sustained. We actually crowdsource the self-support between the organization. This also help you not needing to have a supersized IT team to support this movement, right? Which is super critical, and especially in today's context, a lot of companies are very sensitive in terms of hiring more heads, having more a heavier organization in IT, which considered as a function, support function. So you want to be lean. You want to try to use a creative manner to self-sustain. Crowdsourcing is a good idea. So this allows your community to thrive, yeah, over time. And then how do you get your community to upskill themselves, right? So this is another key path that we apply during our journey here. We initially invested on our own Microsoft Learn equivalent, because back then there was no Microsoft Learn 3-4 years ago. So we actually started a platform to curate pathways. We call it pathways. In each pathways is actually a learning journey for our citizen developer. We tell them that to learn how to build apps in Teams, you need to read this 10 article from Microsoft documentation. You have to read this, watch these 5 videos from the MVPs, and then do these tutorials, and we curate them into one pathway. And from there, we have our citizenship. We give our citizen developer a target to say you have to complete this pathway by a certain time, right? And then also we make it as a criteria in the playbook to say that to build a first app, you must complete this, right? So in that sense, you drive the adoption and give them the ability to upskill themselves, right? So today, fortunately, I'm pretty thankful that Microsoft took our suggestion as well over the years, and they started to invest on the Learn and Microsoft Learn. There's plenty of good material down there, leverage on that, and then also leverage on all the MVP's content, right? So before this call, you have Reza, and you have plenty other good speaker in this conference. They all have good materials, either in the blog format or in YouTube format. Those are great contents It's just that you have to what we learn is that when you curate your own pathway, it can be a pain because you cannot catch up. You do not have a dedicated team to maintain those content. So having Microsoft doing it for us is to me is the icing on the cake, right? Okay, so this will allow you to upskill your citizen developer en masse in a very large scale. You don't have to do it in bit by bit. It's really in the whole. You can just hit the whole organization in one go. Right? The fifth point I want to recommend when you want to do adoption, push up your adoption, try hackathon. Yeah, try to organize your own hackathon. So what you're seeing on my screen is actually our hackathon last year. Yeah, end of last year, we decided that it was actually our third hackathon after the third year. Every year we have one. So we invited, as you can see from the screen, some tech celebrity. Yeah, we have Shane Young, we had a guy in the queue, we have Brian Dang, right, and Vivek and Ken Weir. There's a lot of big speaker here, and plus our own internal staff to drive the training, right? So we have these MVPs coming in, running hackathon for us. We partner together, and then we actually had a we have a guy in the queue, we have Brian Dang, we have Shane Young in talking to our community, and we have 1,500 participants. Yeah, this is even larger than the MBUS hackathon that we do, right? So we have 42 participants from 42 countries, 80 cities, and last year we decided to do something different. We actually focuses on hackathon on Teams. We hack Teams, and we say, okay, guys, Teams is new, brand new, right? Last year it just came out. Then we realized that we don't have a lot of skill set. We don't have a lot of experience on Teams. So we say, let's hack Teams together. And then by the end of the hackathon, we have plenty of ideas to implement on Teams, right? So, and that's how we cross the 1,000 mark, right? With the number of Teams app. So it is an innovation event. Yeah, it's a event for you to seed ideas. Yeah, to let the people in the field, in the business, tell you what problem they have and how they think it should be fixed. So after the hackathon, it's just 2 days. They may not have a polished product, but it is a functional product. And then from there, you choose your winner, and then you turn it around and make it into production app, right? And invest on it. So this is a yearly event and something that is, I would say, is a very easy step for many organizations to do, and it's also an engagement event, right? So while I'm on this slide, I want to show you a quick video of the hackathon. So this was the announcement of the hackathon finals. So I'm not going to finish. I will share this link later on in the link, but just want to show that you can really drive the whole engagement as well as ideas, right? So you can see from the hackathon, we actually curated 152 business ideas. Yeah, over that 1 month event, we have 1 month of training where we invited all the MVPs and internal speaker to train our people, right? And it is a super fun project and also super rewarding to the company as well in terms of creation of values, right? So happy to talk about this. In fact, I am in the midst of building a hackathon playbook, yeah, so that we can share with the community. Hackathon 101, how to run your own hackathon successfully, and even down to the communication. You can see this video was done, actually it was built not by any professional, it was built by citizen developer. Okay, so it can be achieved in a very simple way and yet very, very effective. Yeah. So with that, I want to close my session. If you want to rate my session, feel free to use this feedback form, right? And if we have time, I want to also showcase a couple of apps that maybe will inspire people on building the apps. Okay.
Alan, we don't have anything in the comment at the moment, so I would go ahead with that demo.
I'll go ahead. Okay.
We'd all love to see some apps.
So I have some bonus slides to showcase. So as you all know, we have gone through a fairly aggressive digital transformation journey over the last few years. And a lot of our communication medium has changed, right? Has changed from email, from notification to video. And then video is everywhere. So we had a problem that people come to me and say, now the video is everywhere in Yammer, in streams. And a few years ago, it was in O365 video portal, right? And sometimes in SharePoint. How do you put in one place? So we created this app to address this situation and be able to push the right video to the right people. And this is built in our apps. Yeah. So this Power Apps. So people are asking me, are you sure this is Power Apps, right? So this is Power Apps, and it is achieved in very easy way to build. So if you want to understand how I build apps differently, check out my YouTube. I have a couple of tutorials that teach you some fundamental on knowing the tricks. So with this, you see it's a very familiar UI UX, highly inspired by Netflix, right? In an easy way for finding the right video, capturing the user sentiments of the video, and you can play the video directly from single place, regardless of where the source is. It can be YouTube, it can be stream, it can be anywhere, right? It's just managed through a content management system, and then from there you push to the right audience to make sure that, say, if a finance guy, I want to push the finance video to the person. If it's a supply chain guy, I push the supply chain video to the person. And then if you have internal webcast or internal town hall session, you can then push those communication material out there. Yeah. And best of all, this app was built in under 30 minutes. Okay, so you want to know how this is built, check out my YouTube channel on that. So next one that I want to show is, as I mentioned earlier on, I do have a millionaire app to match up with what Reza in the previous session had. So this is our millionaires app. This is we wanted to gamify our cybersecurity certification process. Yeah, in the past, our cybersecurity certification process was form-based. Basically, you have a form that you answer some quiz, some quiz questions, and at the end of the form, you, depending on your score, whether you pass or fail. If you fail, you have to redo until you pass. before you can renew your password. Yeah. So it was very dry, and with our population becoming younger, with more millennials joining the company, we realized that we need to change that, right? So we say, okay, let's do something radical. So we inspired by these millionaire games and say, let's bring this in. So we created an app that because it's a millionaire game, you choose your host, yeah, choose your host, and your host will then have an opportunity to teach you a few, educate you on a few topics. In this case, if I choose fishing, you get a fishing questions that I can take the opportunity to guide you and say what you should do or not do. And then from there, you attempt the question. And just like the game, you can have 50-50. You can ask the audience. Ask the audience is actually sending your question to Yammer, and then the Yammer audience will then help you. Right? And as you play the game, you gain your XP, yeah, and you gain your revive, right? So that the more XP you have, the higher ranking you're gonna get. And from there, we realized that we can encourage our people to learn new topics, and we also saw that our millennials population, they, because of gamification, they want to be ranked on the top, so they do it a lot and many times until they get to the top, because it's this competitiveness, right, of gamification. And it's perfect for us because we are able to then teach them the effectively, right? And it's an effective training tool. It turns into a training tool eventually. So with that, we are able to then encourage people to be more well trained, right? And then with the and we actually in the process of considering, when you show me that you're well trained, you score high XP, I can potentially let your trade off. Let's say that you're a low risk person, you know how to manage your password, right? And your password expiry date can be extended, things like that, right? With that two example, I hope it will inspire many of you with a new way of building apps. Yeah. So I'm here to take questions. If you have anyone have any questions at all.
I don't have anything in the chat, Alan. That was awesome. That was a really cool app. I love the gamification. Plus also the thought that you're a game show host, but that's just me.